Radio Urantia presenta La Búsqueda, un programa de Agustín Arellano Tirado.
Pato Banton, nombre de nacimiento Patrick Murray, es un cantante reggae nacido en Birmingham, Inglaterra. Su primera aparición fue en 1982 con Pato and Roger A Go Talk del disco Special Beat Service, junto con Rankin Roger del grupo de música ska English Beat. Fue además uno de los artistas invitados que aparecieron en el disco Bag Rhythm de UB40 en 1985. Desde hace 30 años ha sido un lector del libro Urantia. Y bueno, le traemos para su consideración esta entrevista donde nos comparte sus experiencias en dicha búsqueda. Gracias.
Well, the first question is when and how did you find your Urantia book?
I found the Urantia book about 30 years ago in Los Angeles. I had a friend who was a trumpet player in a band called the Untouchables. And every time I used to come to America from the UK, he was the person that I used to visit, and we would sit down and talk about spiritual things. And then one of my visits about 30 years ago, after I had been doing a lot of spiritual searching, and I was very frustrated because I wasn't finding the answers to my questions. I went to visit him in Los Angeles, and he says, "Hey, Pato, I found a beautiful book." He said it was very, very mind-blowing.
Okay.
And I said, "Where is the book?" And he says, "It's over there." I think he was almost afraid to read it anymore because it really gave him an outstanding experience.
Okay.
So as soon as I opened the book, I started to have a physical experience. I actually felt something physically when I opened the book. And then when I looked at the authors of the book, I knew immediately that this book was not a human book, that this book was a celestial book. And then when I opened the first page of the foreword, and it said something about, "On your world, there is much confusion." That was the third. That was a third sign for me that this book was what I was looking for. And I said to him, "Hey, my brother, I have been looking for this book for many years. This is definitely the answer to my prayers," because I've been praying for revelation. And he said to me, "Go ahead and take the book. It's yours." So I left his house that night with the book and never looked back.
Good. How did it change your life in that moment?
It changed my life immediately. Number one, it changed my life intellectually because the book was a challenge to my level of intellect at that moment in time. I did not get a college education. I never hardly spent much time in school as a young person. You know, my life was on the streets. That's how I grew up. So when I found the Urantia book, the first thing I did was get a dictionary, and then I got a Bible dictionary, and then I got a Concordex, which was like a book to help you study the Urantia book. And then I got a Bible. Well, I already had a Bible, so I was traveling and a Bible dictionary. Yes, a dictionary, ordinary dictionary, and a Bible dictionary, a metaphysical dictionary. So I was traveling with all of these books to cross-reference and help me to get a deeper understanding of the Urantia book. Because at that time, there wasn't any of this internet stuff that I could just go online and search words, and a lot has changed since when I found the book.
Yes.
So it was a tough intellectual struggle to gain a deep understanding of the book at first. It changed my life in that it made my desire to be a righteous person much more stronger. I had an understanding of Jesus's life, but the Urantia book presented a Jesus that I could really understand, that I could really aspire to be like. And so it made me want to change my life and be more in harmony with Jesus's life and more in harmony with the will of God. It helped me to decide to get married. The lessons about family life and marriage inspired me to create a home, to marry a woman that was in my life and had children for me. And when we created a home together, I had other children outside. She was willing to bring all of my children into one home so that my children could get to know each other and that I could raise them together some of the time. Other times they would go back home to their mothers, but at least I had a partner that would help me to bring them together and spend time with my children in one home. And this allowed me to teach all my children about the Urantia teachings in one place. I had the images of the Urantia book in my living room, all the maps, the universe, everything. And my kids would ask me questions about, what is Neverdan, what is the mansion worlds, And we would stay up late at night talking about the universe and God and Jesus. And they grew up keeping these teachings in their heart. And they would even question their teachers at school in their religious studies and say to their teachers, this doesn't make sense, And they would tell their teachers about what they learned from the Urantia book, even when they were very young. So, for most of them, the Urantia book is their truth. Even if they don't study it as much as I do, it is the foundation of their spiritual experience.
Good. What influence in your art has been the most notorious?
I think I wrote an album shortly after finding the Urantia book called Life is a Miracle. I started writing, my writing changed. And by the time I wrote Life is a Miracle, I was pretty deep into the book at that point. And that album, I left my record labels. I was signed to a couple major record labels, and they wanted me to become more materialistic, to write more pop songs with no real meaning. And they wanted to involve me in scandals. They wanted me to be in the news, in the media, with scandals, sex scandals, drug scandals, any kind of made-up scandals.
Publicity.
For publicity. And I saw a lot of artists doing that and gaining a lot of fame on top of their music. But I was raising a family. I was raising children. And I had the Urantia book, which made me want to live a clean, positive life and present my life as a testimony of righteous living. So I refused to compromise my life for the media and asked the record labels to please release me so that I could continue my musical journey in a different way. And they granted my wish. Many labels won't release you when they have you.
Yeah.
they'll keep you tied up for many years, even if they're not releasing your music. And some labels, even when you give them new music, they don't release it. They just put it on a shelf. So I was very blessed that they gave me my freedom. And during the time that I was free of any record labels, I wrote my album, Life is a Miracle. And when I did eventually give it to a small label in America called Surf Dog Records, it gained me a Grammy nomination, which was amazing considering I did not write it with any intention for it to be recognized in the media. So I think that is one of my most notorious
That's a blessing.
albums.
What insights came with the revelation?
Insights came with the revelation of the reality that there is no need to fear death, that there is no need to fear being in the wrong religion, that all religions bring people closer to God. All religions that bring people closer to God are good.
Great.
Even though I believe that the Urantia book is my highest truth, even though I believe that the Urantia book is the highest truth on the planet, it has allowed me to respect every other person's belief system. Because if they are helping a person to become more spiritual, more peaceful, more loving, more thoughtful, more righteous, then I would encourage that growth. The Urantia book has allowed me to understand the history of the universe, the history of this planet. It has allowed me to have some level of understanding of my future destiny. It has allowed me to feel free and confident in my relationship with God, that I do not need an institutional religion to be a child of God. I was born into this universe as a child of God. I just needed to recognize that. The Urantia book has given me the courage and the inspiration to be of service to my brothers and sisters, to understand that my life is not a life of selfishness where I just want to make money and live a life of ease, but that some level of responsibility is placed on my shoulders to make other people's lives better, to increase the quality of other people's lives and their way of thinking, and to also set people free who feel as though they are in bondage to materialism, to institutionalization, or to their own fears. The Urantia book has also allowed me to have a deeper love and appreciation for every individual. And it's allowed me to become a better father, a better son to my mother, and a better husband to my wife. And I am in total gratitude to the teachings of the Urantia book.
Thank you. How do you regard consciousness?
For me, consciousness is to be aware of your external existence, but at the same time to be aware of your internal reality. The Urantia book says that the mind is not the spiritual world, but it is the gateway thereto, which has taught me that if I am going to truly be a spiritual person, I must also spend time in the spiritual world. And to spend time in the spiritual world, I have to spend time in my mind to find the gateway so that I can enter the spiritual world. To be unaware of my spiritual reality is to be unconscious of a big part of my inner life. So for me, consciousness is to be aware of my internal life, my external life, and to be aware of the feelings and sensitivity of other people.
Who's your favorite character in the Urantia book and why?
My favorite character, wow. Apart from Jesus Christ, who is my master and definitely the greatest influence, I would have to say my next greatest character, as far as a human character, would probably be Amadon, because of his loyalty.
That's great. Which is your favorite quote in the Urantia book?
One of my favorite quotes is, "What you are today is not so important as what you are becoming day by day and in eternity." This quote has given me hope in the past, and I have used it many times when I speak to people who feel down on themselves because they're not living up to their highest potential, or they have so many regrets about their past. I always share this quote with them to give them hope that what you were yesterday is not who you are today or who you're becoming tomorrow. So just keep moving forward one step at a time, and eventually when you look back, you'll be able to see how far you've come from.
How have you applied the teachings of the Urantia book?
I've applied the teachings of the Urantia book in the way I live, in the way I make my music, in the way I share my experience in social media. You know, I have created quite a few spiritual groups. I have also taught groups of people. I've taught classes, 7-week courses, 10-week courses on the Urantia book, which has given people deeper insight into the teachings and into the life of Jesus. I also apply the teachings in my music videos, use some of the quotes. I have also created a 7-CD box set called The Words of Christ. So it's in every avenue of my life, you know. I don't think that there's any avenue of my life where I don't apply the teachings.
Why is it so important to share the good news?
It is extremely important to share the good news because we are living in a time where we have been successful as a planetary community in breaking free from the bonds of institutional religion. Institutional religion is on the decline. We are becoming a secular planet. Many of the young people are no longer going to church, to the temple. They're not reading spiritual books. They are just on their cell phones. They are more on Twitter than they are in church. So during this age, we need reminders that we are not just living a material life, that we do have a heavenly creator, that we are God's children. And in being God's children, it means that we are all one family, brothers and sisters. We need good news because we live in a time where the news that we are presented in the media is so negative that it gives people a very sad outlook on what is happening in their communities, their local community, their national community, and internationally. We need to remind people to be confident in the victory of good over evil, that this is God's world, and that God has said that this world will become a paradise of his will. And so we have to work towards that. Even in the darkest of times, once we have the good news, we can remain confident that it will be an uphill struggle, but we will be victorious. That there will be a positive outcome even in the negativity. Even through the negativity, it will be a positive outcome. And even Jesus said in the Urantia book that my teachings will rule this very world. So for me, the good news is important to inspire people and to lift them up. Because when you remind people that they are a child of God, when they fully believe that, they become superheroes. It's like a kryptonite in their soul. And they become courageous and they want to go out and also share good news. So for me, the good news is extremely important during these times. And I have seen it change many people's lives.
Thank you. Do you have a final message for the listeners of Radio Rancho? Most of these are people in Latin America, but this month we started also having people in Europe.
Okay. Yes, my message for all the listeners of Radio Urantia is to always be mindful that the Urantia book is not just another book. It is the fifth epochal revelation to us in these times. It is a very, very, very important tool for us to learn, to educate ourselves, to expand our intellects, to inspire us to be more than we are. And so I encourage everyone to study the book, to create more study groups, find other people that you can read with. Do not be afraid to tell people that you read the Urantia book. Be proud that a revelation is here in our time. And remember that even if you don't want to share the Urantia book, to please remember to share Jesus' teachings, and especially to share the good news that every person on this planet is a child of God, that we have an indwelling spirit that lives within us, that is a fragment of God, which gives us a direct connection to God through the adjuster, through the personality circuit. And to remind people that our spiritual connection with each other through God's Spirit and through the Spirit of truth and through our Mother Spirit makes us one spiritual family, regardless of our beliefs or our politics or our racial viewpoints. We are one family, and we should love each other increasingly.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your time and your thoughts. It's good that all the community know all those leaders of the Urantia movement, and you're one, and also to share your music, your thoughts, and your love with all this community.
Thank you, my brother. And please keep up the good work.
Yeah, will do.
We celebrate Radio Urantia.
Thank you. Gracias.
A continuación, un concierto en vivo de Pato Banton para todos ustedes.
Here we go. Give it to me now. Give it to Rastaman. Give it the roots rock reggae. Give it to me now. Give it to me now. Give me the roots rock reggae. 'Cause when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I play, roots rock reggae. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, roots rock reggae. From the month of June to the month of May, roots rock reggae. And I know I'm gonna love it till I'm old and I'm gray. Roots rock reggae. We want roots rock reggae. Good and naughty dready. Roots, come on. Rock, your turn. I can't hear you, man. Come on. Roots. Now it's your turn, Laguna. Come on. What's this? Reggae music was originated in Jamaica by Mali, Vita, Tash and Bonnie Wailer. Just to mention a few, there's many, many more who spread the message of love, not to war. That's why reggae music has gone so far to Europe, China and Africa, down under in Australia and in America. There ain't no stopping the music of Jah. We're jamming. I wanna jam it with you, yeah. We're jamming, yeah. I hope you like jamming too. I hope you like jamming, yeah. I hope you like jamming. Riddle me this, riddle me that. I hope you like jamming. How you feeling, people? Yeah, I hope you like the saxophone. I hope you like the saxophone. Everything sounds great. Old school, old school. I said Cedric Bravo on the saxophone. Outro. Yeah. Yo. How are you guys feeling? Is everyone having a good time tonight? Let me hear those keyboards, baby. We got Antoinette on the keyboards.
Hemos compartido La Búsqueda, relatos de la experiencia del encuentro con el libro de Urantia y con sus lectores. Producción y locución de Agustín Arellano Tirado. Si quieres seguirlo en Facebook, búscalo como Agustín Arellano 606. En Twitter, Agus Gestalt, Agus con Z. Gracias por escuchar Radio Urantia, la luz de la revelación.